All right, good afternoon, everyone. It is 2 o'clock straight up on December 6th, 2019, our last call of the year. Hope you've had an amazing 2019 and are looking forward to a productive 2020. This is Jackie Travieso. Dale and Jared are expected to join us a little bit later. Pardon me, they're both on client calls this afternoon. And before we get started, I have an announcement. I am passing the torch, the co-host torch on. I've had a wonderful time bringing the community together and co-hosting these calls for the past 2 years. But it's time for others to help the community and for you to hear their voices. So I'd like to introduce you to a couple of people. You may know their Twitter handles. They're listed there. And let me just check and see. We've got some people logging in right now. But I would like to introduce you to MVPs Joy Shutters-Helbing and Squire Kirshner, who have been huge supporters and participants of MVP office hours. Joy is an awesome admin Golden Hoodie recipient. She's the Chicago Admin Group co-leader. She's 5-time certified and has over 15 years of Salesforce experience and is a 3-time Ranger, so she is totally committed. And I think that she was going to join us today. Joy, are you on the line? She may not have been able to dial in yet. She didn't know that I was going to put her on the spot. So if she joins us, I'll make sure to watch and have her say hello. And then Squire, who is also a Golden Hoodie recipient, Milwaukee Admin Group co-leader, and an accidental admin turned application architect with 11 years of Salesforce experience. He is 10 times certified and a 6 times Ranger on Trailhead. So Squire, would you like to say hello to the group?
Hi, everybody. I think anyone who's joined in the past hears me in the background quite often. I'm really, really excited to be a part of this call, whether I was a co-host or not, and the opportunity to kind of help as many people as I can, as much as they help me, is an opportunity I couldn't pass up. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Squire. We're glad to have you part of this call. So welcome to both of them, and with both of those bios, as you can tell, you're going to be in good hands with them, along with Jared and Dale. So, and I am not going to go away 100%. You'll hear me on this call as a participant going forward, but just wanted to let you know you're going to hear some changes in voices. So with that, if anybody on the call is new, you can see our slides here. We've got several links that you can use as very helpful resources when it comes to finding events within the community, and then some success events that are put on by Salesforce, and then of course some Trailhead events and webinars as well. And then we've got a lot of planning going on for 2020 and things coming together for all of the upcoming Dreamin' events, starting with Cactus Force. And then of course going throughout the US here and internationally. London's Calling is a huge draw. I'm hoping to get there someday. That's on my bucket list. And then down at the bottom of this particular slide, we've got some links for community groups. If you are not participating or don't know about these, the Trailblazer group is where you would go to find local community groups and or virtual groups where you can participate in group forums. And then there's also the bottom link there, the Trailblazer community groups, is where you would go to sign up for meeting invitations when those groups get together, either in person or virtually. So you might want to take note of those as well. All right. Get my mouse back on the right screen here. So this group meets the first and third Friday of the month. It's a simple Q&A. There's no planned discussion. We just open up the floor for anyone to ask questions and give everybody an opportunity to share their input, their experience, their recommendations, any gotchas they've learned, things like that. So everyone participates. We encourage you to share your experience. If you haven't already done so, if you can please mute yourself to eliminate background noise, that'd be fantastic. To ask a question, you can simply raise your hand in the chat and then unmute yourself. Or if we happen to have dead air, go ahead and unmute yourself. Announce your name so we can put a voice to who's speaking. And then of course, use chat to share any resources, links, things like that. And you can share your screen through Zoom. The only thing that we caution you about is that you, if you happen to want to share an org, make sure it's your developer org and that you're not sharing anything that is proprietary or confidential data, things like that, because this call is recorded. All right. So for the MVPs on the call, can you guys raise your hand? Because I would love an opportunity to introduce you. Just scrolling through here. Oh, and Joy is on the line. Fantastic. Joy, I don't know when you were able to log on, but I just wanted to let you know that I have introduced you as a fantastic, awesome admin golden hoodie recipient and gave all of your credentials, and that you are going to be participating as a co-host for this this twice monthly call along with Squire as I am stepping down. So would you like to say hello to the group?
Yeah, hello everybody. I'm very excited to be joining this amazing endeavor, and I'm excited about a whole bunch of things. I just got hung up a little bit because it's my last day at my current company, so that's why I was late. So sorry about that. But we'll get all the good news and stuff next week about other stuff. So I'm excited to hear what we're going to tackle today. Yep.
Awesome, awesome. Well, congratulations on it being your last day, and I hope that you get some time off before you start your next adventure. So, congratulations.
Yep. Thank you.
All right. Do we have any other MVPs? We've said hello to Squire. Who else is on the line? I'm just looking to see. All right. Looks like you might just have the three of us for right now, which is not a problem because again, this call is for everybody. So.
Looks like Jade and Igor are on.
Ah, there we go. Hey, Igor. You want to say hello?
Hello. Hello, my name is Igor. I'm not an MVP, but I participate in these calls and help people when they have questions and answer if it's something that I know about. Anyway, I've been in ecosystem for over 10 years. I hold system and application architect and a bunch of other certifications. I also develop a group leader locally in Tampa Bay, Florida. And I just wanted to mention, I noticed you've got a long list of community events, and some of them international. So January, I posted a link for this Japan Dreaming event happening in January 25th. So if you're ever traveling that far east, you could probably check that out.
That sounds wonderful. Thank you, Igor. We really appreciate your consistent and continued participation. I know that you give back a lot on this call with a lot of technical suggestions and automation. So we really appreciate you participating. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's Ohana.
Exactly, exactly. All right, and Jade L. You want to say hello? Let me see if I can unmute you.
Hi, I'm actually not an MVP. I was just raising my hand for questions.
You were raising your hand for a question. Okay, fantastic. All right, well, we have so many new MVPs coming through that I sometimes can't keep up with all of their names. So we're glad that you're on the call, Jade. Let me just get through a couple more slides here, and then we'll jump right into questions. So I'm glad that you've got your hand raised. For those of you who are new on the call, we've got a couple other MVP office hours opportunities. There's one in EMEA and there's one in Portuguese. Carlos runs the Portuguese group, and don't let not being able to speak Portuguese keep you from attending this call. Carlos does a fantastic job of translating, and they always appreciate participation and suggestions. So I've participated in that call, and like I said, he does a great job. So is Carlos has he joined us today? We've got a big long list of participants here. I don't see his name. All right, we'll watch for him. But anyway, he does a really great job. All right, let's go ahead and get started. And Jade, go ahead and ask your question.
Hi, so I'm just getting started with Flow, and I've done some of the trailheads. I've watched some of the videos online, but I was just wondering if there was a actual class that I can go to. Does anyone know of any?
If there is a class, let me just get back to those links. I would look here at SF Cloud Services, SVCS, that bit.ly. I would also look on the Trailhead
Yeah, there is no specific class, so I can speak
Go
a little
ahead,
bit
yeah.
to that. So one of the reasons I know a little bit about it because I'm also a certified Salesforce instructor, but mostly focusing on development side. There is not a specific flow class, just focusing on the flow. They touch on the flow in some of the other courses during like regular like automations and things like that. And obviously the admin course does touch upon that as well, but not a focused one. However, there are a number of recorded webinars, some of them I have seen in the past, that do a pretty good job of explaining the new Lightning Flow features. And also, I don't know which area you are in. I know that we in our dev group and also other group meetings locally did do a couple of workshops that are focused primarily on flow. And what we've done is we brought in, so some of it, I did some parts of it. Some parts we invited some other folks that done production work in Flow. And they just shared their experiences and how they did Flow. And we did some exercises and little mini hacks with Flow building some solutions. So if you have a local group, you want to check out if they do any kind of Salesforce Saturday. We've done it in Salesforce Saturday and also in a dev group environment. Which is sometimes basically you have a 2-hour sort of session or 4-hour session with a workshop with doing hands-on kind of stuff with development, something in Flow.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Igor. Salesforce Automation Hour has a lot of webinars. You might check them out at automationhour.com. Looks like they've got some recorded stuff. It doesn't look like I can do an actual search. You might just spend a couple minutes clicking through and finding, see if you can find the right topics. I know that Jen Lee on Twitter was asking about specific flow topics that people wanted to learn. She did a little poll on Twitter. So you might go find her post and see if you can connect with her.
Yep, I actually found her WordPress page, and
Great.
honestly, she's very good, but it's way above my head. Like everything she's doing is like way above. So I was trying to start from the basics.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I would have to say that you're on the right track. If you're feeling kind of like overwhelmed, I think the trails are really your best start. Start to build a little bit of experience on top of the trails, and then, you know, Jen's kind of the pinnacle. She and Brian Kwong are the power of power users. So, but I think you're on the right track.
Okay, thank you.
All right, great. Thank you.
And the unofficial Salesforce Flow blog is spectacular. It's some great articles, great use cases if you're just looking for something to read.
Can you, Squire, see if you can find that URL and drop it in the chat, and I'll add it to these notes?
I just did, actually. It should be
did
the
you?
second from the bottom. Carlos just joined and it's right above that.
Man, you guys are on fire in the chat today. This is awesome. All right, super. Thank you. There's a couple of resources here I'll grab and drop in. All right, let's go to Brittany. I'm going to unmute you.
Yes, I have a general flow question. When I finish a flow, it would be really nice. It's a case flow for the users to navigate or be directed straight to the new case that's created. And I was wondering if you could show me how to do that.
Squire or Igor? That sounds like something that you guys might be.
Yeah, that's a tricky one. We've had to write a couple workarounds to make that happen. Igor, have you done one that's better than just cobbling something together?
No. So with not with new Lightning Flow, in the past with the original Visual Flow and Visualforce sort of environment, I have been able to do some navigations like that. But not recently.
Sure. So what we've done, if it helps in the meantime, at the tail end of the flow, we create a notification to the person who submitted the flow with a link to the case, so that after it closes, they get the bell light up and then they can click on it if they want to go to it, which seems to give a little bit more flexibility. Sometimes people don't want to leave where they're at. but you still get the notification. So I'd look into that as well.
Oh, that's awesome. So like a chatter post that gets made as soon as the record's created. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, or a custom notification. You don't even have to post.
Okay.
But both are good. I mean, I would say, I love that you're saying chatter. If you have chatter users and are expecting to see stuff, having it both light up at the source record as well as notify is awesome. So do both.
Perfect. Thank you.
Hi, this is Jade again. If I could just add something. I watched Iman Makori's Flow Builder webinars. There's like 2 of them, Flow 1 and 2. And he did it right in the Flow screen or whatever, right when he created an opportunity. There was a link to click on it to take you there.
Oh, like a hard-coded link in the Flow to jump out to it?
Yeah, it was a dynamic link. Yep.
Yeah, I've
Yep.
done that as well, and I was trying to find where I've done it to give you an example, but I'm trying to rack my brain as to where it was. So if I find it, I'll throw something into the chat.
That'd be great. I mean, historically, when we've done that, you end up with a hung Flow interview because you haven't actually finished. So I'd love to see how you've done that, or she's done that, excuse me.
And for our earlier question about flows, Iman's got some good webinars about getting started with flows. He's a great presenter too. He's very lively and animated. So I would add that to your list of things.
So if you go back to Iman's page, if you just do the search, there's a search bar right in the middle of the page. Yeah, if you just do Flow, there's Flow 1 and 2. I don't remember how he did it, but I know I saw it.
Yep, there you go. Yeah, he's got some great stuff. So check that out. I will also, let me drop this in the chat for you, just so you have it quickly. All right, looks like we have one question in the chat, and then we'll go to Jen. Joanna, do you want to unmute yourself and ask your question about reports?
Sure. We're just trying to do some like house cleaning stuff as we get towards the end of the year, and we realize we're at our max capacity with custom report types. And as we started to dig in a little bit, we have a couple that sound very similar. And my question is like, how do we figure out like what exactly like what objects they're looking at, right? Because some of them you could do like the lookups, etc. Is there an easy way to help with like figuring out report types, what they're actually looking at in terms of like the objects and fields, etc., to like compare and then potentially get rid of some? Or any other like house cleaning tips and tricks on reports specifically would be welcome.
Has anyone gone through that type of a project? Because that's a great question.
Well,
Like, I know you
I'll jump.
Hi.
report
So,
types, but-
wow. all at once we figured out how to unmute. So I think you can create a custom report type on reports to get all that information, if that's what I'm understanding. You're just looking to see how to get everything cleaned up.
So we've run reports
Joanna?
to see like, yeah, so when it was last created, last run, et cetera, right? So we're able to do all of that, but I guess my question is more into the specifics of what it's looking at. Because like, for example, we have like contacts with registrations and contacts with registrations version 2, and what's the difference of them? And it was going into each of them individually, the report type, and looking at, oh, this one has with or without, and this one doesn't, right? So it's like those changes that we're looking to see to figure out how we could help clean these up once we understand what exactly it is that they're looking at. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. So you're just trying to understand the differences between your report types. So you want to look at objects and fields and the filters with that. And there's got to be, I can't think of the name of anything right now, but I feel like there's a metadata report that gets down to that level.
Yeah, that kind of information would be available only in the reporting metadata. However, there aren't that many tools that will dig into this much sort of XML level. So you might not have exactly like in a human readable form easily to see what's given where. Although there are some tools out there in metadata that now been used. I haven't seen all of their reporting. They might have something that would help. But other than looking at a sort of a report metadata that you could export from one of the dev tools and then kind of looking through it, there's not really a good way.
Yeah, I would concur that unfortunately reading the metadata is the best source and it's also the worst exercise. And I'll add one other piece to that. While knowing all of that is great, you can't reassign a report type that I'm aware of, and so you're kind of stuck deleting both the report and the report type if you're not careful. I would definitely make sure you have a kind of a plan, because it would be a lot of wasted work if when the smoke clears, you're like, oh, I can't really do anything about this.
Yeah, that's what I was just trying to figure out my plan of attack right before actually going through and doing anything with that. So I just wanted to see if anyone else has kind of run into this as we go through some housekeeping stuff and yeah, trying to figure out how to clear up some of our report types and make it easier for our users to be able to know which report type to use too, because there are just so many that it's overwhelming and confusing. So
I wonder if Elements Cloud gets into report types, because they're all about documentation.
yeah, so actually we just had a call with them yesterday, and we have a trial in our sandbox with some of their stuff for documentation purposes. And we did ask this. I had to hop off the call, so I haven't had a chance to follow up with one of my other coworkers who was on the call to see. But I think the gist of what I understood was they don't, not right now perhaps, but maybe in the future. So let them know kind of thing. But they were going to see what they're able to give us to maybe meet our needs right now.
Okay, great. Always make recommendations to them. They are one of the best companies I've ever come across when it comes to putting ideas into action. So if there's something that you need, others need it as well. So definitely keep that dialogue open. And then I guess just a follow-up question on some of this stuff too. Are you able to delete some of the custom reports that get, or the report types that created when you download or install different apps or packages? Or is it only, are you only able to delete them once you delete the actual package? Probably is going to depend on the security of it.
Yeah, it depends on the style of the package. If it's a managed package, I don't think you can delete the report types, but you'd be able to delete the reports.
All right, got it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for the question. All right, Jen Lang.
I have probably a simple question, but I have a user who's going out on medical leave. So we're planning to freeze her Salesforce user account. How do I prevent tasks from being assigned to her while she's out?
How are those tasks assigned to her to begin with? Is there some automation behind it?
No, there's not automation. She's making a recommendation that we write a check for something, and the business office goes through her recommendation, and if they see anything that's not right in her recommendation, they'll add a task for her to go back and fix it. So we don't want a week from now for them to find a mistake in her check, in her request, and they assign her a task and it just sits there for 6 weeks.
I might consider doing a process builder to reassign it. That way it happens immediately if you know who it needs to go to.
Oh, awesome. Okay. That's a great idea.
I mean, I don't, is there anything else with freeze that we can control except their login? Probably not, huh?
There was one suggestion to put a lookup filter on the assigned to, so it could only pull in active users, but I don't see a way to put a lookup filter on that field on a task.
Yeah, you won't be able to adjust that. That's the native field.
Okay, that's what I figured.
Yeah, I would probably do
a process builder.
Go ahead, Square.
Yeah, I was going to say that's exactly. I would, if it's really a critical step to make sure that's not happening, I would have a process builder in place to say anything that's assigned to her at any point gets bounced back or escalated up, and then you can turn it off when she returns.
Wonderful. Good ideas. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Jen. And it looks like Dale has joined us. Hi, Dale.
Hello, howdy, howdy.
All right, who else has a question?
Scott had something in the chat.
Oh, hey, Scott. Do you want to unmute yourself? Let me see if I can find you in our list and unmute you. You may not have.
Scott has no microphone available to him.
Okay. All right. So in chat, he says, any recommendations on Salesforce phone integrations? We were using RingCentral for all employees, so added it to Salesforce just because we already had it. But over time, our phone use has evolved so that the vast majority of phone users are also Salesforce users. So IT is interested in something that is primarily a Salesforce integration rather than adding it as an extra feature to regular phone usage. Does anyone have any CTI experience?
Yeah, I think there are a number of packages or a number of third-party vendors. So Salesforce provides its own sort of open CTI integration, but it is very, very basic. So if you only need a basic functionality, combining with Lightning Dialer and a console application, you can basically enable your users to do dials on phones and receive phone calls over the soft phone. However, if you're trying to manage things like call centers and do sophisticated routing and do that omni-channel type of stuff, you're going to need to obviously have a call center, you're going to need to have Service Cloud, and then more sophisticated CTI integrations, which will come with something like New Voice Media would be one of the vendors that provides that, and it is a direct Salesforce. It's a managed package that installs in Salesforce, and they connect with telephony. You have to work with them obviously to connect with your telephone box that sits in your office and all that. Or at least IT would have to. Five9 is another one. There's a couple other vendors that do this.
Bucher and Suter, Bucher. They're a good one as well.
Yeah, InContact also is very good. CTI integration has a lot of great features. Those are two vendors that I was fairly familiar with. There's obviously others out there as well.
All right, great recommendations, guys. And Scott, I think I might have a product comparison that I can share with you. I did earlier in the year. I can't remember all of the companies that were on there, but they were some of the ones that we've heard here, so I can share that with you. All right, who else has a question? Looks like there's some dialogue going on in the chat. Great, helping each other, wonderful. Jade's got a question. Go ahead, Jade.
Hi, this is just a general question. So we don't have any Salesforce developers, so I'm not sure if this is something I should even try to tackle or maybe contract it out. We have this, we have all of our marketing materials stored on some website. So it's not anything that I've seen on AppExchange, so I can't do any integration with Salesforce. So when I rolled out the Sales Cloud, I copied a lot of the marketing material from that website into Salesforce files, but that's just not sustainable going forward because there's a lot of marketing updates like all the time by the product managers. So what I really want to do is integrate, you know, so every time there's a new upload, it'll just be pushed to Salesforce or maybe somehow get it. So I don't know if anyone has any recommendations on if this is something I should even try or just contract it out to a contractor.
You would need to leverage something like content management. So Salesforce does have content management integration now, especially if it is coming with the community side, which is basically leveraging external sources, which could be actually website URLs. So it's really how you're managing your content and where. But if you're managing it in just some kind of custom website that sits in the hard drive, that might be a little bit challenging. But if it is a more standardized CMS system, which kind of drives that website, then you very likely will be able to integrate the Salesforce to it, and Salesforce will be able to see those assets. You're not copying those assets, you're actually accessing it directly from Salesforce. So that's a big difference. If you start copying assets from your one source into Salesforce, then you can't really sync well. It'll be not possible to sync because you basically have two different versions of this stuff. But it's really sourcing that from one place. That's really what it's about, in integration sense. Now, if it helps.
Okay, yep, I think that's helpful. So it really doesn't matter if there's a new update. It'll just always point to the, latest
Correct.
one.
Right. You're always going to be pointing to the same source of truth. And that is how the CMS sort of integrates. These assets you'll maintain in one place, and then usually they have some kind of a CDN. If it's a serious CMS system, they usually have some kind of distribution servers that if it's global, then they know what's the closest location, all that. It's all been taken care of.
So is content management system, is that a Salesforce thing or is that another thing?
Well, content management systems are outside Salesforce, but Salesforce does have its own content management and its own sort of like you can manage. There's an integration with other content management systems. So it's basically the CMS integration for marketing and Salesforce development purposes as well. The place you usually find that is in the community. Like if you're dealing a lot with community, then there is a actual like administrative tab for CMS, and then you can configure your CMS connection wherever that lives and the type of CMS you're dealing with, and then you should be able to access your assets to leverage, let's say, in your community pages build out or building out some other pages.
Okay, thank you. I'll do some research. Thank you.
Sure.
There's a couple of really nice intro to CMS trails on Trailhead in the context of Salesforce. It'd be a good place to start to see if it even resonates with what you're trying to do as well.
Okay, I didn't know about the Trailhead, so I'll definitely check that out.
Great. And thank you, Magalon, for sharing that link there. I posted it in the deck as well. All right, Brittany's got a question.
Sorry, I was just putting it in the chat to make it clear. When a rep leaves the company, I will run reports for tasks, contacts, leads, all sorts of records that they own, and then use Data Loader to mass transfer the records. And I'm wondering if there's a more efficient way to do this, like maybe an AppExchange plugin that might be free, or anything that y'all have come across.
How comfortable are you at building a flow?
Very comfortable. Oh God, wait, hang on. No, not generally comfortable. Like just comfortable enough.
Okay, and it's nothing complicated. You could even get away with just building a screen flow that you run from the setup UI, like you wouldn't have to implant it on a page or anything. But if your first screen is who is the person that's leaving, you capture that user ID and then say, okay, who do you want to reassign everything to? Depending on how many records there are, you could just say find all records owned by ID A or person A, reassign owner ID to person B, and then it just chunks through it. Now again, that would depend on how much data you have to update, but conceptually, if it's a low lift, you could just get away with a couple of screens and a fast get and a fast update.
Thank you.
So I think one thing I want to add to this is, so depending what type of records are you reassigning, like for example, opportunities would be one example, and a few other ones like cases. However, so Salesforce does provide mass reassignment capability in Lightning, so you can just basically select records and change the owner. But that ability only available when you provide to a user who is doing that the permission, modify all records. If he doesn't have that permission, then you will not have ability to reassign mass ownership. You can do it one by one and reassign, but you will not have. So it depends who's doing it. If it's an admin doing it, obviously that's okay. But if it's a specific restricted user and they cannot have, like modify or view all records, then you may have a problem. Even when you're writing, especially when you're writing a flow, it won't be able to see those records. So the only way to do this would be custom development or a package, I know I wrote a package before, and it's on my GitHub somewhere, but it's a DX project that allows to do reassignment when you don't have those permissions. It just basically work around this permission issue. Just FYI.
Thank you.
Igor, if I could add on to that, everything you described is completely accurate, but there's plenty of tools that don't require programmatic code to do. I mean, right, the process or the flow is great. There's mass transfer records in the setup. It's a little bit slower. You know, if you're talking about thousands, it's going to be a problem, but if you're transferring 200, 300, 400 records, that tool is there. And it looked like Magellan commented that they had written an object and a batch flow against it to basically just do mass transfer overnight. So there's plenty of tools in the box to help with that, I think, right?
And I would just add one more thing when you're talking about mass transfer. Think about your process and an easy, reliable way of getting out of what you just did in case it didn't go right. So the mass transfer records, I don't believe, there's not, I mean, you'd have to run a report, figure out what time did you do it, when did you do it, to either revert it back to somebody or, you know, make some changes. So my best practice is always being able to have some sort of file that I can refer back to and make those changes, so I know what it was and what I changed it to, just in case. And there's been one instance in 10 years where I needed that because of somebody's silly checkbox.
And do you usually use a data loader of specific model? Like, do you have a go-to?
Yes, sorry.
Well, who I was going to say, who are you asking? I like to use Excel Connector. What about you, Brittany? What are you using?
Oh, I thought he was asking like kind of what's my process. Yeah, I mean, I have like 4 different reports that I build and export them, and then just put the new owner ID in there and then stick it in data loader. So that's good because then you have a copy of what the records used to be.
Yep. It's one of those things that you hopefully never have to use, but the minute you have to use it, it's worth the effort of everything that you've always done, because you can quickly get back to what it was and figure out what happened. And like I said, I've only had to revert one time in 10 years. And it was because the tool that I used to upload, in the background of that particular tool was the automatically assign or use lead assignment rules was checked, and I didn't know it. So what I did, it overrode it. I can't remember exactly why, but that was the silly checkbox. So that's my word of warning.
Actually, that's a great word of warning to think about. What do you have in place that might counteract what you're trying to do as well, right? I mean, any process that escalates or reverts or, you know, works against you, you might not even know it happened until it's too late. So good call there.
Yeah. All right. Anybody else? Don't be shy. This is your opportunity to go ahead.
I have a question to the group. If somebody can suggest some idea. I had a customer that sort of asked about how can they automatically or easily scan business cards into Salesforce. And that's really spans from, you know, they have people, salespeople or other like marketing visiting various shows or various types of places where they can find meeting people and collect business cards. And I know there's a number of AppExchange packages I've known a couple of mobile apps that also do this, but they're not really, the ones I've seen or tried hasn't been really good. Like it works sometimes it doesn't work. Anybody has like a good go-to recommendation for like a business card scanner or a possibly like a mobile app connector to Salesforce? Like they can have a mobile app just snapshot a picture and then just OCRs that into a lead, for example.
Hi, this is Jade. I wrote out the Sales Cloud, and there was a scan business card thing, but it's still early in the process, and I'm still trying to get some feedback on if anyone likes it, so I can try to find it and then post it in the chat.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah, I know that Salesforce is working on the OCR feature. It is an Einstein platform feature that they are piloting right now. I unfortunately don't have access to that pilot, but that is kind of would be helpful in that instance. Although from what I understand is that feature is intended to just snapshot some image and just create a text out of it, but then you still have to do a work of parsing what's in the text, which might be challenging.
Oh, this one is pretty good. OCR, it can snapshot like 3 business cards, and then you just verify to see if anything needs to be corrected.
Is that part of the Salesforce mobile app, or like what is that?
I'm trying to find it. 1 second.
Okay. Yeah, no problem.
The one that I've used, Igor, is from Vision E. It's called eContacts or scanning. I forget what they call it, but that one you do take a picture and it OCRs it. It can be I find it generally good if you're getting good pictures of your card, but it is a little bit sensitive to lighting and the type of business card it's reading. If it's a nice clean business card without a bunch of graphics, it's excellent. If it's a little bit crazier design, then it'll struggle with that as well. But it does give you the ability to make corrections and see how it has read it, and then you can import it either as a lead or a contact.
Yeah, good to know. I think somebody mentioned Vision E. I think we're trying to look at some options, what's available, and I think one of our team members actually has connections to Vision E, I believe.
Yeah, I do as well, and I've used it, and I've got a handful of customers using it, and they seem reasonably happy with it.
All right, good to know.
Thank you, Terry. Marty's got a question.
Hi, this is Marty. So quick question. I'm playing around with campaigns and I'm in a sandbox, so I never really know if I dreamed something or it's because I'm in a sandbox. And I sent a list email, and I was testing this obviously, so it came to myself. But when I respond, it's not being tracked in Salesforce.
Say that again.
So
what's not being tracked?
So I would have assumed this. So if I send an email, for example, from a case in Salesforce, if the customer responds, it comes back and updates that email in the case. And so when I'm in a campaign and I'm sending something to a lead and the lead responds, I would have thought that Salesforce would know that this was a email sent from the campaign, sent to a campaign member, and that it would link the response back to the campaign member.
I don't think, somebody check me on this, but I think that's where you need something like a marketing cloud or whatever to be built in there to fuse that two-way versus just the one push out and then you're just an email land.
And they got it. Okay. And then someone has to go in and say, yes, they responded. Okay. Just double check. Thank you very much.
And Dale, just to add to that, I mean, I think the reason why the case response is working is because you've enabled email to case. Otherwise, that doesn't happen either, right?
Yeah.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's kind of where when Salesforce started. scooping up products and everything from outside and bringing them within the platform. It was just easier to take advantage of existing functionalities with those products instead of here's things we developed on our own platform. And it is what it is.
Okay, looks like Sophia has a question. Sophia, I'm going to unmute you on my side.
Jack.
There we go.
Oh, thank you. Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I'm working on a project where we are launching Knowledge. It's really the first time that we're using Knowledge, and we're launching it into a community. So I've got a bunch of stuff set up, but one of the things that I realized is under content management, I have automatic topic assignment enabled, but I'm not seeing it actually work. So I was going to see if probably be easiest if I share my screen, if anybody here could help me figure out why not.
Absolutely, go ahead. Actually, I think, do I need to stop sharing? Hold on. Let me get to my ribbon here. All right, you can go ahead and hit share now.
Okay, great. All right, can you all see?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, so so we're in our dev sandbox environment. So got Cat Tracker 2.0 is the name of this community, and so here's where we have automatic topic assignment. It's turned on, and in this case, it's we only have one data category group, and it's where the data category is engine. Then it should add engine as a topic, right? So here this is an article that I published this morning, and I mapped the categories engine and off-road, but the topic assignment did not occur.
Can you go back to that other screen for a second?
Yes.
So where you've got engine with the X, that is the topic.
Right.
As opposed to, okay, when I first looked at that, I thought where it said add topic, we needed to add something in that box, in that field.
Yeah.
Okay. Is anyone familiar with knowledge, content, and topics? Did you create that after, what came first? Did you create this before you created that other record? Because I'm seeing where it says add the topics to all existing articles in the data category.
Yes. Yeah, I enabled this a while ago.
Okay. Anyone have any thoughts around this? This isn't something that I've used.
Yeah, so then that's where, I have this topic created. It's just, that engine topic over here. I don't know, it's bizarre.
Would you mind the publishing category? Where is that set up?
The publishing category.
So if you go back to the topic assignment.
Over here.
The data category. Like where, those data categories. Is there an enablement or something on the data category list, or has that always been there too?
I don't know if I understand the question.
So like the data category has to exist in order to publish to it. Because
yes.
You're in a dev, I'm just wondering, has that category always been there, or does it have to be activated or anything?
So I have the data category set up. I'll show that. Let's see, over here. I think this is. Yeah. Okay. Here we go. So it is active. And then, yeah. So here, that's engine.
Yeah, there it is.
I don't
Okay.
know. Yeah. And I mean, you know, if nobody's run into this before, yeah, that's fine. I just have to keep digging around. But
one other thing, if I mind, have you completed the assignments on them? If you go, like just
where?
below it, in that same menu, there's the data category assignment list. On the screen you were just before, where you're showing the setup.
Okay. Let's see.
Yeah. So the data category assignment step, there you don't like 2 down from where you are. There you go.
Here.
So I'm wondering if, because you can assign them by, what is it, by permission? I don't remember where that assignment is. Like, could it just be that it's like whoever published doesn't have access to the category, so it doesn't know how to assign the topic? If you go back,
yeah, they do. So
okay.
Let's say, for example, so we'll say like myself. Okay. If I know exactly what you're talking about. Okay, so this is actually my community. Right now I'm logged in as myself. This is where that component, you know, is one of my, is one of those data categories. And so like engine is the main one, right? And so I do see the other 2 articles that are published with that topic assigned. It's that 3rd one that was published where the topic should have been auto-assigned.
Yeah. And all I can think of, I mean, I assumed that you were working as yourself, but you know, if once you hit community, you get that weird profile switch sometimes, and even though you think you've got access to the category, you don't. And as an admin, you can publish it, but it wasn't your article. You know, it just kind of can steamroll into a little bit of a knot. So I just wanted to make sure. It looks like you're on the right track. I'm out of ideas. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, no, but that's fair. Okay, so maybe it's even, I can kind of go back and check maybe who originally created it. I'll check the community dealer login page. I'll double check some of those. It is just the most bizarre thing. I'll tell you, this project has been very interesting. There are a lot of layers to knowledge.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Okay. And I did actually, I had one more question, and this is really just a question, but we have something where, for a long-winded reason, you know, we found out that our internal employees that are going to have to manage all the articles, you know, like creating them, editing them, publishing them, will likely be restricted to just do it in Classic for a time being. And, you know, we're still going to launch this to our dealers in Lightning, in a Lightning community. Is there anything that you guys would think of that might be an issue or a consideration because you have the team internally managing it in Classic and the dealers viewing it in Lightning?
I
no?
mean, I think everyone is kind of holding their tongue and thinking, "Oh my God, you're stuck in Classic," and it's hard to get past that. Is there a little bit more reasoning behind that decision?
Yeah, it's a telephony issue. So we have a telephony provider, and there's this customized screen pop that occurs whenever a call comes into the queue. However, it doesn't work in Lightning. And when it essentially, all of this unraveled when we actually tried to start our first beta group with Lightning by developing a console. And then once we realized that we ran into that issue where the current telephony provider will not work in the Lightning console, essentially it led us down the path of we're now actually signing an agreement with a new telephony provider. So we're going in the right direction. It's just going to take a while. for us to get the, new telephony system kind of in place. So there's a period of time where these users are going to be in Classic until we can get that new telephony system in place.
Thank you.
So anyway, yeah, I just didn't. I've been trying to test out and research and just check if there might be any issues, with the internal users in Classic and the dealers in Lightning. So far, I'm not finding anything. It's just, a little strange setting up.
Yeah, I think you're on the right track there too. So.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
All right, we've got time probably for one more question. If there aren't any questions, we can certainly give you, what, 4 minutes back into your Friday? Anyone? Well, thank you everybody for joining. This was some really great discussion. Thank you so much, Squire and Dale and Igor and Joy and everybody else who contributed to some thought-provoking ideas. We really appreciate y'all. And with that, we will see you in 2020. Thank you again, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.